Hey guys, Rob here with McDojoLife. In today's McDojo news, we're going to be discussing a 21-year-old MMA fighter who raped a woman, was released awaiting trial, and while he was released awaiting trial, he went on to rape and sexually assault 2 other women. Let's check out the story. A student rapist was released by police only to rape one undergraduate in his halls and sexually assault another less than a year later. Charles Goodwin, age 21, a mixed martial arts fighter and business management student at Liverpool University, was convicted in January of raping 2 women and sexually assaulting another. The rapist, who described himself as a sex god, told Liverpool Crown Court he was a hopeless romantic. The judge told him to expect a lengthy period of imprisonment. Goodwin had been released under investigation but without charge by police after he aggravatedly raped and throttled a student in Manchester. 8 months later, he got another student drunk at their halls in Liverpool and raped her. 3 days after that, he sexually assaulted another woman in the same halls, prompting both women to go to the police. Within days, Goodwin was arrested again. He was found guilty of 3 charges of rape and 1 charge of sexual assault by penetration against 1 student in Manchester and another charge of raping a student in Liverpool. The jury also convicted him of 2 offenses of sexually assaulting a 3rd student in Liverpool, but cleared him of sexual assault on a 4th student also in Liverpool. The attack on the first victim involved him holding her down by the throat, and he was found guilty of attempting to choke her and assault her. The court heard that he had told her she deserved to be treated like a princess, and he picked her up and carried her before going on a violent attack in her own home. He had faced 3 charges of rape against the second victim, to whom he had said he was a sex god when she complained he had hurt her, but was cleared of 2 of those charges. In September of 2020, he had slept with her consensually, but a few nights later he got her drunk at a flat party, so much so that she was unable to stand. Although a friend put her to bed, Goodwin later sent a photo of the girl in his bed. When she woke the next morning, Goodwin was having sex with her and she became confused, before remembering screaming the night before as the MMA fighter had anally raped her. She had pushed him off and later saw her own blood on tissue paper in the toilet. Her stomach had multiple scratches and hand-shaped marks remaining on her body for 2 days. When she later learned of his prior arrest and release, she said, "Why did it take 3 victims for him to be remanded? Why wasn't he remanded immediately? I think there are definitely failings in the handling of the Manchester case," she told reporters. Although Goodwin convinced her it was just a drunken mistake, she was compelled to report the rape to the police when she heard he had sexually assaulted another student in the same hall just days later. This time, he was comforting his next victim, who was sad because another boy didn't want to be in a relationship with her. Goodwin put his coat around her and plied her with alcohol. He gave her peach schnapps and lemonade and made her drink coffee liqueur from the bottle. She became so drunk she couldn't stand up without support, and she threw up. Goodwin managed to corner her when they were alone, repeatedly putting his hands down her trousers, touching her genitals. She told him not to and removed his hands, but he carried on, before taking out his penis and forcing her to touch it. When she was able to walk away, he pulled down her trousers and smacked her bottom. Goodwin showed no reaction when the jury returned their unanimous verdicts after just over 6 hours of deliberations. But his father and grandfather, who stood in the public gallery as the verdicts were returned, afterwards shouted out at the 7 men and 5 women jurors. "Shame on this court. Disgusting," said his dad. Godwin's grandfather shouted, "A young man's life has been totally scorched and ruined. How can you believe someone's lies to the court? It is really no way to deal with these offenses." During his 13-day trial, Liverpool Crown Court heard how he had been on police bail after the first attack and went on to commit the other attacks. Judge David Swinnerton told Goodwin, "I'm going to order a pre-sentence report to be prepared by probation to include the extent to which you present a danger to women, and the outcome of that may affect sentence. Please prepare yourself for a lengthy period of imprisonment," he said. The offenses of which he was convicted took place between January 5th and September 30th of 2020. Matthew Curtis, the prosecuting attorney, had told the jury, "The prosecution says the defendant did not care whether the complainants consented or not. In short, he got what he wanted with no care for them or the immediate consequences of his actions." Goodwin, who had a girlfriend at the time, admitted having sexual activity with all 4 women, but maintained they all had consented and denied all 12 charges. He said the choking of the first victim, age 19, had also been consensual and admitted calling her offensive misogynistic names as it turned him on. During his evidence, he described himself as a combination of a hopeless romantic and a Charlie Big Bollocks. It is the way my personality worked. Goodwin will be sentenced on Thursday. Just to condense all that information, Goodwin had raped a woman. The police released him so that he was out and free to do whatever he pleased while they were investigating it before formal charges were made. When that happened, he went on while released. Within a year of waiting for that to happen, he raped another woman and sexually assaulted a third, and it seems like he may have even sexually assaulted a fourth, but those charges were dropped. He also referred to himself for some reason as Johnny Big Bollocks and a hopeless romantic. Usually those two things don't go in sentences together, especially while you're on trial for things like, I don't know, rape. What I'm hoping with stories like this is that people see this guy's face. Because once he gets out of jail, because he's an MMA fighter, he's going to go out and he's going to look for another gym to train at. And I hope gym owners see this guy's face and deny him of that. I hope that they do not allow him in his facility, which will give him access to more women that he can just take advantage of. But the real tragedy here is the fact that this dude raped a woman, and while they were investigating, he went on to rape another and sexually assault a third. And when it comes down to that, it's a little aggravating that people who are committing sexual assaults are getting slaps on the wrist and able to walk away. For instance, the Cain Velasquez story I just covered last week or the week before. The pedophile in that case who molested Cain Velasquez's relative went on to be released. He was on house arrest. He was on the way to get his ankle monitor. Even though the prosecuting attorneys begged the judge not to release him back out until he was sentenced and put into jail. They wanted him to stay in jail. They wanted him in prison. They did not want him to have that freedom to be out and about to where he could potentially do this again. This case is just like that. This is what happens when shit like that happens. They had a guy caught dead to rights for raping somebody. While they're awaiting the trial, they went ahead and said, you know what, you're free, you can do whatever you want. And then the guy goes on to do it again. That's crazy to me. But with that said, I'd be curious what your thoughts are about this particular story. Let me know in the comment sections below. Thank you all, by the way, for the continued support of the page. The likes, the comments, the shares, the subscriptions are all appreciated. Until next time, keep the martial arts legit.